Hey everyone, this is Luis from Side Effects, and in this video I'm going to talk about Exoside's Quad Remesher node, which is the latest bridge in Houdini's game dev toolset, as well as Side Effects Labs. So as the name calls it, it's a quad remesher. So we'll start here with our pig head and see what it can do. We can simply just hook into our input geometry. It's going to start cooking and give us an output. By default, it has this auto cook on, so we can disable it if we want to play with some interface and not have that always update. And you can see by default, it does a really good job of really clean loops. One thing that we notice by default is that the symmetry is off. So we can turn on X symmetry and then cook. And you'll see that now you get that perfect symmetry. You can also turn on adaptive quad count, which will give different size quads based on the need of the topology. So if we crank this up, you can see we're going to get a lot more resolution in the areas that it needs. And if we crank it down, it's going to give you even quads everywhere. So that's the gist of it. There's some controls on how to isolate the boundaries and a little bit on the edge loops. They should be fairly self-explanatory. One of the things that you can also do is use booleans and clips to basically try to control the geometry a little bit, but I found that by default it does a pretty spectacular job. You can see you can manage your licenses through here. By default, Exoside is giving all Houdini users a couple of months of free trials to play with, which is really generous of them. So even if you don't own it, you can play with it and you can get a trial going the first time you run it. So let's take a look at some other models that I have kind of prepped over here. The first one is a fairly easy horse head. I decimated it down a little bit, down to 100,000 polys, just so it takes a little bit less to process. And you can see it's just garbage geometry that comes from scans, which is just, it's not garbage, but it's just all pretty rough topology. And this is what the quad remesher does to it. So you can see really, really nice loops everywhere that you want them. And to be honest, this is probably better than what I would have done if I had to do this by hand. A couple of other models here. We have my go-to crab. Again, just decimated it down to something reasonable. And then I'm actually trying pretty low in this case. So we're doing 5,000 polys, which is pretty low for this guy. But you can see again, really, really solid performance. And then finally, we have this one, which is a little more complicated. Again, on one of the models that we use a lot to test things. And we can see I cranked this up a little bit just to see what it would do with these nice folds. If we crank this back down, even let's see what it does with 2,000. All right, so this is what 2,000 polys looks like. So even though it goes pretty low, you can even use this to generate LODs, which is pretty spectacular. You get some really nice topology out of this. So hopefully you like it. It's a fairly simple video. It's a simple but incredibly powerful tool. Great addition to our mesh pipeline. And let us know if you have any questions. And have a good one.